All right. What's up, people? I don't think I like that intro very much. I might have to change that one. Anyway, we will dive right into things today. Let's see. So, first thing I have on my thing was, what I was thinking about today is I was doing some research this morning on prolonged fasting from food for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, whatever. And I was learning about like telomeres and polymerase and all this weird stuff. And I just started to wonder about like why we die, like the science behind why we die. Hang on, I got a loogie. I hear it's because our cells divide, and then they divide again, and they keep dividing until something, and then that's kind of why we die. But I don't really get that. Like, why do cells dividing? Why does that kill us? I don't understand why that happens. I don't get that. I think I'm pretty sure that cancerous cells divide and multiply and go. And that's how cancer happens, and that's how cancer spreads. But I think that's just one example of how we die. I mean, cells divide and split, I think, regardless. I'm pretty sure. So I was just wondering about that, and I might do some research on that, and I was just wondering why we die. So anyway, little thing for you there. Now I also have on here raising standards, and I am now forgetting a little bit why I wrote that down. But I guess maybe what I was thinking was that anything that you do, I think, will dictate what you do. What's that saying? The way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? The way you do anything is the way your whole life operates. It's the way you operate. It's the way your whole life goes. And I wish I gotta start maybe like writing more notes down, because all I have is just raising standards. And I know that there's something else to that. There's a reason I wrote that down. But I guess it's a good thing to talk about just regardless. So raising standards, I think, is really the foundation to success. I think that if you do everything to the best of your capability, I think that will be so beneficial to you. Like if you're working it doesn't even matter what job it is. You don't even have to like it, I don't think. At Sears Trostel, this place I used to hate, it was fine for like a week, but then it just got so boring. I just got so tired of it. I shouldn't do anything there. I was just standing around waiting. And I had just developed this negative mindset towards it, and I was watching these motivational videos, and I was listening to podcasts, and I was trying to stay mentally engaged with something beneficial. And so part of what I learned was that even if you're at a place that you don't enjoy, or you're doing something you don't like, you can still employ and implement these habits, these beneficial, healthy, disciplined habits into your life, or into that situation anyway. So like, for example, I used to show up, and the very first thing that I was supposed to do was to like restack all this lumber and reorganize things. There was like these big shelving bins full of dimensional lumber, and also full of just like 2x whatever and 3 or 4 buys material. So that was my first task of the day. It wasn't like assigned to me, but that was like the first thing that I did. I kind of made myself do it. And so anyway, the point was that I didn't ever really feel like stacking that lumber at all. I didn't ever want to organize things, make them all neat and fancy. I didn't ever really feel like doing that. It wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy it. But I made myself do the best that I could, day in and day out. And so I would go in there, and I would stack this lumber, and I would make it as perfect as I possibly could. And there were some days that it wasn't like perfect, but I really put my effort into it, even though I didn't want to, So I just tried to make it. I just did the best that I could, even though I didn't really feel like doing it. And I think that people notice that. It doesn't really go. It doesn't just vanish into thin air. People see that. People realize that and notice that. I should get out of the way. So anyway, I guess that was just an example I had for you, but raising your standards, I don't know, it's a good thing to do. Well, I'm going to start doing more notes, though, so I actually know what I'm talking about, I think. So that was the second thing I had. The third thing I had, I'm on a highway trying to read my notebook, so this is super safe. So I have trading time for money, and then this whole, so I guess I'll just start from scratch here. In my blog, I have a blog where I write stuff, obviously, and I was talking about, I haven't published this one yet, but I'm going to by today. I was talking about my boss, and how boring he is, and how much I just want to fall asleep whenever I see him or talk to him. So I was kind of going over that, and I was just asking the questions like, why is everyone so boring? Why is he so dang lame? Like, why is he so dull? Why is he so just beat down? Why is he so boring? And I started to think about, like, well, what if he read that, or what if someone else read that and told him, and he became aware that I was talking about him like this? And I was just thinking about how this is like just a possible situation, that he brings it up to me and says, hey dude, number one, he could just fire me, and I'll explain more of this later, but the first thing is that maybe he just fires me and says, you know what, you've disrespected me, I think that you shouldn't work here anymore, see ya. He fires me right there. The next thing would be that he just like gives me a warning, or just like says it bothered him, and says, dude, like why are you talking about me? Like I'm paying you, like I'm your boss. And I guess I was just running through that possible situation in my head, and I was thinking about how he would use the argument that he's paying me money to his advantage, which he is paying me money, but I was just thinking about how that would be his number one thing, that like he's doing all this good for me, and he's providing for me, and he's doing this for me, and he's doing this, all this crap. But I think that the fact is, it's not like he's just giving me money. Like, it's not like he's just handing me $100 a day or whatever. Like, we're trading time for money. I'm also providing him time. I'm giving him my time. I'm providing him, I'm getting things done for him. So I'm sacrificing my time for money, for him. And I think that while he would probably want to use that argument of, well, I'm the one paying you, I'm doing all the good for you. Well, not necessarily. Yeah, you're paying me, but I'm working for you. I'm the one giving you my time, and I probably deserve a whole lot more than what he's paying me. I probably deserve 10 times that much, I think. This is kind of how I view that. But I guess I was thinking about the whole, do you even understand that? I guess I was just thinking about the whole, is what I just said. I didn't even know if you understood that, or even if I understood it. But I was just thinking about the whole idea of time for money, how we willingly will give up our own time for very small amount of money. It's crazy. It's like if you were to be able to pay for time, like if you were to say, I don't know, go to like some register and you're like, hey, can I get an extra hour for $20, for $50, or $1 million? Like, what would that time be worth to you? If you had an extra hour, how much is that actually worth monetarily? And there's really no way to answer that, but it's an interesting idea, because I think that an hour is worth a whole lot more than $15. You know what I mean? So I'm getting paid $15 an hour, which is decent, like relatively, compared to a lot of different jobs out there. Compared to my climbing place, that's significantly more. But if you think about it, like a whole hour, you think how much can happen in 1 hour, and then think about how little amount of money you're willing to accept for that hour. I mean, $15 for an hour of your life. An hour is significant. I mean, just think about what can happen in an hour. There can be, think about even just like 1 minute. Think about what can happen in 1 minute. So I'm driving my car right now. Think about in a minute, or even a second. Really it comes down to the tiniest amounts of time. 1 second is probably priceless, because in 1 second I could lose my life. Someone could come 75 miles an hour down the highway in the wrong direction, and then crash into me and then kill me in 1 second. You're telling me an hour is worth $15? So what's a second worth then? like a few cents. I don't know. It's just this weird kind of idea I was thinking about. Is just this whole trading time for money thing. Because to me, I really don't know how to go about answering this, but I know for a fact though that time is worth way more than anybody could ever pay you. Even if it's like $1 million an hour, I still think an hour is worth more than that. It's worth more than any amount of money. You know, I think time is just like a different category. It's just like not even in the same playing field. It's just not comparable. Time and money are just totally separate things, but we've kind of, I guess, just trained our brains and taken on this conventional idea that time is worth a certain amount of money. But time really isn't worth. It's just worth more than money, I think, is really all that it comes down to. Anyway, I guess that's all I had to say for today. I'm going to Costco right now. Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Roger out.